welcome to another beautiful start of the week. This Monday, the 19th of February of 2024. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. For those who may not know, we are now in the sign of Pisces. We went this morning, so it's going to be a very interesting thing. So, for some people, depending on what time they were born on this day, they could have been very last stages of the very last stages. Let me put this up a second. The very last stages of Aquarius, depending on the location and everything like that. But as you see, my special guest is Neena Diamond. But I do have a couple of things I want to mention before we do, before we bring her on. And that first of all, the show is being sponsored and brought to you by my buddy King Simon. He is going to have some things coming up in April. We'll be talking about that later. Also, another sponsorship is Jazz Aphrodite. Her site, and she is offering a pre-order for her class. And well, excuse me, I shouldn't say class, actually for her book. But if you go to her site, jazzaphrodite.com/, you can order her sessions, you can order charts, you can order and pre-order the books, hardcover or softcover, okay? And they are in limited edition. And lastly, our third sponsor is Manifest on Purpose by Miss Kimberly, that you can find on YouTube and things like that. And we're going to be working on the March forecast for all the signs coming up, which is right around the corner sometime next week. Before I do that, let me do the forecast for today. And by the way, first of all, today is the 19th, Monday, 2024. The sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Cancer. It is a 1 universal month, a 4 universal week, an 11 universal day. So Leos, Aquarians, Cancer, or anyone born on the 2nd, 7th, 11th, 16th, 20th, 25th, and 29th of the month. This is a very important day. I failed to mention each week, please like, share, and subscribe. I guess that's for the algorithm purposes. And then also, I also put LWL for Live with Lloyd, or LS will never DM you for money or with a message. Well, last week I told you about this one here that sent it. And what's happening is you're going to have to read things very carefully, folks, because if you notice, it has numbers in you, but then it has an underscore at the end of it. And then it's Grand Rising Love. I don't talk like that to people, okay? Especially ladies I don't know. And thank you for the support, and they're picking up on the energy. That's not my style. I never solicit people. Trust me, folks, I never, ever solicit anyone. And then one of my clients, Crystal, bless her soul, this is the latest one. Now, look how they got it. At sign 1, numbers in you. This is strictly fake, okay? And if you notice, even at the bottom, it says, LS will never DM you for monies. So what I'm saying is that if you can turn this into your respective stream, Instagram, wherever it's shown at, to let people know, or at least alert me so I can do that. We addressed it. And this was the follow-up to that. And if you notice, because she knew me, she said, made up this for you. Also, someone in heaven missed, what is your zodiac sign? Hey, I want to make sure that this is actually you, because this is my client, Crystal, that knows me, because she's going to text me right now. Notice their response. Okay, because my ancestors tell me there's a lot about your life, love. I don't use that. I still have a lot to tell you right now, love. Should I continue with the accurate reading now, love? No, because I actually speak with Lloyd Strayhorn and you're not him. Yay for Crystal. Yay for anybody who has that. So I'm just saying, please, I don't want people taking your money in my name. That is not how I do it, okay? So everybody, thank you very, very much for joining us. I want to also thank our Rafiq L community. Yesterday, I was there in Newark, and a brother that's actually a regular on the show came all the way from Reading, Pennsylvania to get a reading and stuff like that. So I was very, very honored. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my very special guest. I think we all know her, Neena Diamond. Hey, Neena, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I was just sitting here thinking about the scammers and how you feel, you don't want your people to be scammed by scammers, but your people got to get a little bit more intuitive into like your friend said, I speak to Lloyd. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
really, you gotta really think about that and do your due diligence because scamming is not going away. It's not.
And actually, unfortunately, it's getting more sophisticated.
Yeah, because they somewhere sitting in Africa or in Russia or somewhere. Because I can tell by the language that they're not Americans. You can just tell by I can just tell by the way that they're writing that they're not even here, right? Because
Yeah,
we don't necessarily speak the way that they're trying to speak, right?
no, no, I don't address
Yeah.
people like that. So that's anyway. I just want to share that, so at least people don't be having taken money on my dime, not under my name,
Right.
because we don't operate like that. See, we from a school where we like to sleep good at night. You know what I mean, Nina?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That part, and I'm gonna sleep. If you get scammed, I'm gonna sleep good at night anyway, because you should do your due diligence. I'm serious about that. I was looking at a video where this little girl
Now I'm
stole
gonna
a
put
car.
this on you for a minute. Keep talking. Go ahead.
She stole a car, right? And they
Really?
found her and they were saying, well, why did you steal the car? She said, well, I wanted to go get candy. They were talking to her like it was normal. And then when she got out the car, they gave her candy. Now that was a scared
Are you
straight moment.
serious?
Yeah, I was so
Wow.
disappointed. I'm like, she wasn't even, I don't know, she could have been 10 or something. And they were coddling her. She stole her parents' car. She could have killed herself and other people. And they were talking to her like, well, why did you do that? I was like, okay, that's it for me. Then they gave her candy and she's standing there looking all. I said, what is wrong with y'all? It's like we have dumbed things down so much till they're not going to be able to function. The first time she sits in the classroom and somebody corrects her, she's going to go crying to her mom, right? No, we got to do better. We got to do better. There are consequences for everything, right?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Although people don't look at it that way, but it is. It's whoops, there we go. There are consequences. And what we fail to do is be more mindful of it. Now, for you, we had talked before when you were on, because we're not going to really do any kind of readings today in that sense. We're going to talk about some things that are going on. First of all, you published a couple of books, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and with that, we're going to talk about that. We're going to show that too. Let me see. I'm trying to do something. Okay, good. I got it. Whoops. No, no, I don't want that. Just this. Okay, good. I'm trying to multitask, folks. I'm telling you right now, and I'm not too good at it, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better and better and better. Now, let's talk about what you're going to have tomorrow, your workshop.
Tomorrow is going. It's an introductory. It's a 4 week introductory class where we're starting with the basics. People have been asking me and DMing me and saying they want to learn cardology. So this is what this is that introduction into that. But it's the cards, it's astrology, and it's numerology because they all work in tandem. So this class is going to be breaking down all of the different what I like to call the different attributes of the card. Like today's a six of diamonds, and sixes are ruled by Venus, right? So that adds a whole different dynamic to it. And then the six of diamonds sits in Mercury, Jupiter, and it's a diamond. So all of those things are what make up a reading. So, excuse me, that's what we're going to be going over in the 4 weeks. And then we're going to talk. It's like there's a conversation that we have. It's a language. It's like we're changing the language. And I want us to be able to be fluent in it where we don't necessarily have to say it's a six of diamonds, because we can introduce people to stuff, and then if they want to know more, we can add that on. But if we can talk in the energy to people, we can get them to have a different understanding of these sciences. Then they won't be so scared of them, right? Some people, they just, soon as they hear it, it's like, no, I don't do that. And so I feel like if we learn how to communicate with people without having to use the scientific terms, it will introduce more people to the science.
Well, what's interesting with numbers, I tell people, yes, I'm into numerology, but people have numbers all kinds of ways. Numbers when you're counting your money, numbers when you go to the doctor, your cholesterol level, blood pressure level, stuff like that. And so with cardology, there are like tons of card games, from Jim Rummy to blackjack to whatever, and most people don't know until we have guests like you and Aquarius Maximus or Jazz Aphrodite and other people of that caliber on, to see that there's an esoteric side to cards as well. How long have there been this thing? And it's interesting who we'd even come up, because I'm still trying to find out who in the world decided, if it's a number one, like you're a number one person, that this would exhibit a characteristic. I guess these things are lost in antiquity, as they used to say.
Right. And it's I think that over time things evolve and people look at things differently based on the time that they were in. And somebody just decided, let's make it more cohesive and let's put it together with the cards, right? Because then it took away the mystery, but then people were able to do it without having to look over their shoulder, because this science is something that was forbidden for a long time.
Just like
Right?
numerology and astrology. Oh yeah. Yeah, because when I was coming up, if you had an astrologer, they would literally have to walk around with their astrology books in a paper covered bag, so people couldn't see what they were reading. It was like that. It seems silly now. People got books that they will openly display, but I mean, they really kept them wrapped under covers.
Yeah, because it was something that, people don't think about how it was for us when we were young. It was like we didn't have the internet, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
All we had was word of mouth. So if our parents heard of something from somebody, that the parent grapevine, it had to go through the whole family, right? It had to go through the whole family. So you didn't have permission to do certain things. And I know that could sound strange, but you didn't have permission to do certain things. Certain things you had to do with a paper bag.
And we were very much into the church. Then it was expected we go to church every Sunday, read those Bibles and everything, and anything other than that, like numerology, astrology, much less cardology, was heresy.
For sure.
We burned at the stakes practically.
I know, right? My family, they got cracked open real early, because my brothers are older than me. And back in the 60s is when the Nation of Islam and all of that came about. And all of my older brothers joined, right? So they kind of broke down all of the barriers and broke my parents in. I was number 7. By the time they got to me, they were tired.
Hold up. Are you saying you're the 7th child?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Well, let me break it down to you.
I've lived my life as that 7th child.
They have found that of the children, it is always the number 7 child that stands out the most.
Yeah.
Malcolm X was the 7th child. Michael Jackson was the 7th child. Even the guy that founded Kellogg's hospital and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Child. 7 children, for some reason, tend to. It's not that the other children from 1 through 6 and 8 through whatever is not special, but there's something seems to be special about the 7th child that's a standout. So to me, and being a 7, that really stands out for me. That means, girl, do you know how special you are?
According to my family, no. But 7s are the bridge, and they're disruptive. 7s are very disruptive, right? They are that bridge between the spirit world and the mundane world. And I've lived the bulk of my life in the spirit world. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was an interesting child, to say the least.
Well, I would say you and me both. Really, really. But but I'm glad that we stuck by our principles, stuck by our beliefs, because now it's like just like anything else.
Yeah,
And
just like anything
there's
else.
nothing now you can do. In fact, every newspaper, with the exception of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, carries a horoscope section.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Isn't that dope?
Yeah, yeah. So it's all about that. And they're finding it that you can't resist this in one person. I think some fashion person was saying what's out this year is astrology and stuff like that is out. Yeah, yeah, wishful thinking. You wish. It's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and I don't think it's going to disappear because one person deem it that it's out of fashion. But evidently they had nothing else to do, so they figured they'd talk about, they just bring a little controversy, get a little rise out of people. But numerology and astrology and cardology and the other tarot, all of these branches of the metaphysics are not going
Yeah,
anywhere at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Now, let
Totally.
me ask you this. With astrology and numerology, they're like kissing cousins. Is cardology and the tarot cards somewhat kind of like that too, if that makes sense?
Well, tarot, I don't know if tarot how that really folds into it. It's tarot isn't as intuitive as or as scientific as those other three sciences are. So it's a little different with tarot.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
more picture
those,
symbols.
yeah, they're more, but astrology, cardology, and numerology, they're science. They don't change. If it's a one, it's a one. If it's Venus, it's Venus. If whatever it is, it is. If it's a club, it's a club. So the
Yeah.
science of it is what makes it so amazing, because the interpretation comes through your intuition, and that's good, but it doesn't change, right? It can change from person to person, because there are other attributes, like if you're born and you have something in the second house and somebody else has something else in the second house, that changes it. So all of those little things change the dynamics of it. But the overall, if we're studying it, we're going to study, like I like to say, the reading, writing of arithmetic of what we get away from. It's
Yeah.
like once we know the basics, like we had to learn the basics, right? Once we learn the basics, then now we can learn how to apply it. And I think social media has taken that away, because people spend so many times like watching you, watching me, and they get readings over and over and over and over again. And that's not learning. It's not. That's just it's like, I want to know something about myself, but you'll never learn like me and you have learned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
I'm that person. I don't want to go to somebody. I want to learn it myself. And social media has made people lazy. They made people lazy. And I think with Pluto, I know with Pluto going into Aquarius, this is air. So people are going to be able to learn faster. Uranus rules these sciences. So they're going to be people that are going to be thirsty and hungry for this knowledge, and they're going to have to get it quick, right? Have to get it quick, because the game is changing. When we look at how we're going to process stuff, because it's air, they're just dropping stuff down into the ethers. They're good at that. They have thousands of years on them, so they're dropping distractions. Just like I was looking at something that the bots are posting on these different social medias that are lies. They're not true, but people are running with it, and they're consuming it, and that takes up space. It's like, this is why they're doing it. It's because you're filled up with all of these conspiracies, and you're filled up with all of these things. In the scheme of things, don't really matter, right? So when we get a chance to sit and really learn these sciences, then I was talking to someone today on Clubhouse, and I was talking about how I raised my family. Aquarius Maximus is my daughter. I have 4 children. They were all raised in a metaphysical household, and they have a different look at life. And I see people now, they feel like they don't have the time. You need to make the time. You can, when you learn this, life looks different. It's like, if you
It
haven't,
certainly does.
right? It's
Yes,
like, if you're
it certainly
having a
does.
struggle, you look at this and you like, oh, okay. But when you don't know this, the struggle consumes you. So the more you know these sciences, the more equipped you are to be able to navigate and move through them. And that's the thing that I'm starting to do, is to help people to understand that this is your benefit. If you're saying you don't have time, you better make time, because these people got thousands of years on us, right? We're waking up and remembering because this is our heritage. But we stop using it, and what happens? You don't use it, you lose it. Right. And
that was always the same. Yeah,
yeah,
you lose it if you don't use it. That is
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. Just in astrology, there's an order of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, etc. In numerology, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4 in sequence, etc. In the suit of diamonds and clubs and spades and hearts, which comes first? Does that make sense? Because I know you said one suit represents a child and one suit represents the elders. So can you explain that?
The hearts are the babies,
Ah,
clubs are the teenagers, and of course they represent the summer. And hearts, the diamonds are the supervisors. I like to call them supervisors because they apply that pressure. And then spades are the elders. So each one of those suits, tells you how to, look at the card. Like today, the 6 of diamonds. So then we look at it as the 6 of diamonds. The same thing we would look at in numerology. We would say 6s are ruled by Venus. So we know this is a Venusian day, right?
Yes, exactly right. I think that's interesting. Now, there are things that I'll hear you and Aquarius Maximus and others say, that there's the grand solar spread and all these other things. And I mean, I'm hearing the word, but it's like over my head. Can you kind of like do it just a little primer about what these things is? And then you said something is displacing something. And I'm just sitting there in amazement. It's almost like you're an astrologer who is understanding the transitions of the stars in the heavens and stuff like that. So what's the most basic thing? And also I found out that evidently the age is very important too.
Oh yeah.
6 of diamond, which is today, is totally different at age 13.
Oh yeah.
Different than one who is 31, or different than one that is 60. How does that work?
Well, there's significant markers in life that, they're, pinnacles, just like, that you would have in astrology and stuff like that in cardology. And it is based on the age, just like like you have a Uranus, opposition, or you have your Saturn return. So all of those things are in cardology. The thing about the grand solar squares, it is what I call a holy grail, because when we're looking at it like the book that I wrote, my cardology workbook. We're looking at life in a snapshot. Like we're looking at, if you want to find out something about someone, you look on that plate and I can tell you anything. There's nothing that I can't tell you, but you have to this is why you have to get the understanding of the background to be able to do the grand solar squares. That is advanced, right? And once you understand the planets, because we start with Mercury, and like you said, 13 is different because that's the first 13 years of your life you live in Mercury, right?
Yeah.
And then the next 13 years from 13 to 26 are your Venus years. And then your Mars years don't start to 27. So that thing about we are supposed to do things, the cards don't say that we come online until 27, right? Because now you've gone through that cycle of your personal planets. So once we leave out of Mars, we go into Jupiter, which is a societal planet. And then we go into Saturn, which is another societal planet. And then we go into Uranus, which is that outer planet, that is a generational planet, and Neptune, a generational planet. So we have the different times in life that are governed by that. Like at 52 years old, it's a critical year. You go into your Saturn return. A lot of people don't do good, because if you haven't done anything in life and Saturn sits you down, it's like, what am I, it's like, I don't understand what's happening. And 52 is a 7-year.
Yes,
so you're trying to figure out why am I stuck? Well, you know, and you know, it sometimes, you know, some men might go out and get a sports car or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult time for people to go into their Saturn years. That Saturn, that 52 is a pivotal time because Saturn crystallizes stuff. What people don't understand is that for the planets are telling us something. And
Yep.
each one
Yep.
is like, we have our 3 personal planets that most people spend all of their life in. Most people never step into Jupiter, Saturn. They don't want to be. You hear most people say, well, I don't like people and I don't like work. You're not going to get the blessings of Jupiter because Jupiter is work. That's where you work, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear people say that they're not social people, then I see that their Mercury, Venus, and Mars is debilitated. It's debilitated because we have to leave the house and go to work.
At some
Now,
point. At some point.
some point, right? So
Yeah.
if you have, you know, the trauma, and it's mostly because Mercury houses trauma, right? Mercury is a non-binary detached planet that we're born into because of the protection. Mercury is one of the most protected planets that there is because Mercury doesn't care. Mercury has no judgment. So children come into the world in Cardology for 13 years under Mercury. But because of the trauma of their parents, they're watching, they don't have karma, but they're building trauma. Right? They're like, there's something, they know innately something is not right, but they don't know how to voice it. So that's why when children are molested or children go through things at 13 years old, it's trapped because they don't know what to do with it. Anything that an adult does to you from 1 to 13, you don't know what to do with that because Mercury is supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
Right. But because your parents have gone through their Mercury cycle and they don't have the wherewithal to do it, it depends on so many different factors. But from 1 to 13, I find that's where you always will find that trauma that people carry into life.
You know, what's interesting in numerology, 7 times 7, which is 49, is considered the climactic period. And that is like with Cardology 52, which is a kind of make it or break it. It's somewhere around about the 49th birthday, which is 7 times 7. So it's interesting that 52 is a 7, although 49 doesn't add up to a 7, but it is 7 times 7. So it shows you how all of this is so commingled and related one to the other.
Yeah, the synchronicities. And that's the beauty of understanding all of the sciences, because in actuality, we live our highest vibration. We are these things. But on Earth, we're bodies. So our body is always trying to figure out something. So we use these as tools to help us navigate and stuff like that. But our higher consciousness, which sits in the 3rd house with Gemini, it's making sense. Like Gemini is the higher consciousness because the duality of it is Gemini is trying to make sense of the world. And the world you'll never be able to make sense. So by the time you get to Virgo is like, I can't work with this. So you got that duality with Mercury that's trying to make sense of things that are not supposed to make sense. Your higher consciousness is aware, but the body is where the trouble is.
But you know, that makes so much sense to me because the duality of Mercury is Gemini, which is air, which is logic and reasoning and deduction. But Virgo is earth, which is about practicality, keeping it real, keeping both feet on the ground. So they're ruled by the same, but with a whole different mindset.
Whole different. Trying to make it make sense. It's like Virgo is like, don't come over here. Trying to make it make sense because they're grounded. Virgo is that virgin stalk of wheat that you can take and you can make bread. You can make thousands of things out of that virgin stalk of wheat, but you got to have the stalk of wheat first. So Virgo always defaults to make it make sense. I got a stalk of wheat and this is where I'm going to stay. I can make lots of things with it, but I'm always going to honor that stalk of wheat. So Virgo trying to make it make sense is like you're telling them this is a chocolate cake, but it has nuts and this and that. Virgo is like, okay, it's a chocolate cake. Right? That's it. I don't need all of the rest of that.
Yeah.
But Gemini is over there trying to communicate it. Gemini is communicating it, and it's air. So our higher consciousness is observing. It's like, okay, it's observing, and Gemini is trying to ground itself in it and explain it to you. But you can't do that. That the world out there is constantly changing. So this is where Geminis can get on people's nerves.
And that's why Gemini and Virgo are considered what is called mutable signs, because it's always an indication of change, flexibility. And the only thing that's constant in life is change anyway.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's constant. Now, let me ask you this. Does that make sense when Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year? Like this year, it's on the 1st of April. The second one is on the 4th of August. The third one is on November the 25th, all on the fire sign. So when Mercury is doing that retrograde, does that affect the energies of Mercury even more so from a cardology perspective? If that makes sense.
It does, but there are so many other things in card. Like today is a 6. 6 is retrograde, right? 6 is an ebbing and flowing and coming and going. So 6 is retrograde more than Mercury does, right? Because they're looking at bringing it into balance. So you're looking at that second house and that 7th house that's trying to bring things into balance. So you are having that ebb and the flow with the 6. It's like a 6 of hearts shows up. You pretty much assured that there's going to be a past lover or somebody that's going to contact you. Like today, people got lots of calls from their debtors. Today is a day where the debtors are going to call you and say you got to pay your bill, right? Or else you'll get something unexpected. It's going to be something about a 6 that brings stuff into balance. So that's kind of like a retrograde too, because you're revisiting things with the 6. That karma that has to be addressed with that 6 is kind of like a retrograde too.
So would tomorrow, the cards work backwards. So would that mean tomorrow would be a 5 of diamonds or 7?
5 of diamonds.
5 of diamonds. Okay. All right. Now, so people understand, what does, you said we start with hearts first. Those are the children. Are there any other characteristics?
The babies.
The babies.
Well, it's the life force. It's the life force that goes through us. Hearts are water. So they're fluid. Is what you're pouring from and what you're pouring into. Hearts need to be protected. Hearts are, it's like, what I write in my books is breaking it down to tell you what heart relationships are going to look like, because hearts want to be protected. Hearts are very sensitive. So if you're dating a heart, they're going to be needy. They're going to be needy. You're not going to get around that, right? And especially if it's an ace of hearts, a 2 of hearts, a 3 of hearts. As it goes up into round about the 10 of hearts, then you'll see more, more maturity. But those lesser, numbers are going to require a lot. So it's like you're looking at, you're dating a 3 of hearts. Now, a 3 of hearts is one of the most detached cards in the deck. They're called a poly. They call it a pod. You can do whatever you want when the 3 of hearts shows up. It has lots of options because it's detached. It's like the 3 of hearts. It don't care if you got 2 girlfriends, you got 2 boyfriends. Don't care. It's Mercury, right? So it's a very interesting card, but it's a card that I find it gives people a lot of stress, right? It's a lot of stress because you want to do certain things that you're inclined not to want to do. That's 3s. They're ruled by Jupiter. And 3s can be fickle, right?
Interesting. Now, okay, so what about the teenagers, the clubs? Clubs make up pretty much everything because air is as above it is below. So clubs are communication. So whenever a club shows up in your hand, it's going to be some sort of communication. Like if it's an ace of clubs, it's going to be a new conversation. If it's a 2 of clubs, you're going to want a partnership with somebody. With a 3 of clubs, you're going to want to have adventure. The 4 of clubs is like you're going to be looking to stabilize. The 5 of clubs, change. 6, bringing it into balance. 7 of clubs is the bridge. The 8 of clubs is that's ruled by Saturn. So 8 of clubs are the power.
Nine of clubs is diversity, because you're looking at nines and you're looking at the cyclical matters that they bring. So it's about the fulfillment of it. And 10 is mastery. Jacks are 11, so they are masters. Tens are mastery and jacks are masters, right?
You know, I always love how you explain this stuff. You are just you're just good at this. You're just so good at this. Okay, so now, so we got the babies, we got the teenagers. So would diamonds be considered like the adults? Does that make sense?
Yes, diamonds are the adults, the supervisors. Yeah, so it's why you can find that even though you're not trying as a diamond, the dynamic changes when you show up. You don't have to try. It's like there's pressure to perform when diamonds are around, because diamonds are made under pressure. So that
Makes sense.
dynamic
Makes sense.
shifts
Makes sense.
everything, right?
And finally, the elders, spades.
Yeah, spades are like the magicians. Spades have the ability to call forth all of the different elements. So spades are the elders, the wisdom of it all. And how, spades are fire. So how it sparks and brings things forward. It's like if it's a six of spades and today is a six of diamonds, it's like that six of spades would want to figure out how to use the energy of the six of diamonds to be successful today.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you taught yourself. And then you wrote some books too. Let me take this off so people can see. You've written several things, but two of them are now available on Amazon. And one of your first ones was this one here. Let's talk about your workbook.
The workbook is the book that we were talking about with the grand solar squares. This is more advanced, but these are people who want to do readings. These are people who want to be able to understand the how to use the cards in a different way. You're looking at it on the grand solar squares, which are they're 89. So from age 1 to 89, we get a chance to see what's happening in life, and then it starts back over at 89 when you end in Neptune, and then you start back over in Mercury.
Interesting. So everything is always cyclical, like the seasons.
And at 52 years, 52. So yeah, everything breaks down just exactly that way.
And this one, tools for everyday life.
Yeah, tools for everyday life.
Right? This is your latest one.
Yeah, that's my latest one. That is the one I wrote for people who want to do readings. It breaks down all of the elements. It gives you an understanding of every facet. Like in the cards, we go from the ace to the transformation card. So each one has a different definition. So you being able, like if you're talking to somebody and it's their cosmic moon, you want to have that understanding of what the cosmic moon is in order to help that person with that. So this book was written in mind with that. So you would be able to have that conversational reading with people from the understanding of the elements.
I love the image of the sister sitting in that chair, like, she knows it. Now, does she symbolically represent a card in the deck?
She's just my imagination in AI.
I think that is so cool. I mean, she looks serious, like you coming to her for some knowledge, okay?
Yeah, that's my imagination.
Image. That
sitting in the matrix with all of those, the matrix behind it, right?
Yeah, I think that is fine. This is fine. Now, I want to go back to the class so we get some particulars. It's going to start tomorrow. How can people sign up for it, please?
Well, they can go to my website, which is 11 University. There's a payment plan, so you can sign up and, make your payment, and then you have another payment that's due. So it's very affordable, and it's, like I said, it's going to be chock full. We have the class on Tuesday, and then we have a study group on Thursday. So this is going to, when you leave this class, you're going to be well versed in what you need to know.
How many weeks is it going to be?
It's 4 weeks.
Okay, I was thinking of 13, but 1 + 3 is 4 anyway.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's 4 weeks because this is an introduction into my certification. The certification is 6 months, and pretty much everybody that you see on social media has come through my certifications, even though they don't mention it. But I
Mhm,
have
mhm.
certified. I've certified at least 30 people. So this is the certification part. If you want to be certified, and it's a 6 month certification. This starts it off.
Okay, now let me see. Getting back to the banner because I don't think we have. I don't see 11 University on here.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
so what is it again?
Jazz just put it in the chat.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jazz. So
Mhm.
people can know where to go and sign up for the course. And also, you said you make installment arrangements too, so there's no excuse not to join the course.
No, there's not. And then we have the alumni corner, and it's $99 a year. And there are classes up there that I've already, graduated, where you can learn through those classes. So I am definitely putting the information out there. But now you got to do what you got to do, right?
Now, what time does the class start tomorrow?
At 7.
In the evening, 7 in the
Mhm.
evening.
7 to 9.
Okay. And it goes for 4 sessions.
4 weeks.
Okay, good, good. So by the way, this is my guest, Neena Diamond, Cardologer. I should have said Cardologer extraordinary. Cardologer par excellence. You know what I'm saying? It's like that.
Mhm.
She's a teacher, a lecturer, author. She's a mother. She's been a social worker. Goodness knows how many people you helped in your career there on one
30
level.
years, right? And this is the thing about people now with they don't understand longevity, right? I got longevity. I've accomplished something. 30 years as a social worker, right? And I'm pretty proud of that. It gives you some kind of oomph to life. When you
Yeah,
experience life, it's like
yeah.
you want to experience. So when you talk to people, it's like they know that there's some connection with you, as opposed to us just being out here on social media being Twitter experts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Overnight experts.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay if your generation, my generation, we learn together. So you and your generation is learning together. And as long as you understand that, it's fine. But I see some people in these younger generations that have taken on expertise that they don't have. It's not possible. It's not possible. You got to
Yeah,
live.
that's why they say youth and wisdom don't go together.
Don't go together. It
Really
doesn't go
don't.
together.
Okay.
Doesn't go together.
Yeah. So
And
you
what happens is for me is if you take away one thing tonight, is it when you touch it, the universe is now going to expose you to it, right? So you want to be careful. It's like the universe is going to fill in the blanks. It's not going. It's going to assume you know what you're talking about. So you're going to have You're going to have events all throughout your life to match the stuff you're talking about, right? The universe is going to meet you with that energy. So when you get out and you have conversations, the universe is like, well, you know what you're talking about. Let's go for it. And people are like, well, I don't understand what's happening in my life. This is, especially now with Pluto and Aquarius, this is air. Pluto is in air, right? And air
Mhm,
cannot be controlled. So
mhm.
we're having these conversations, and these conversations are just there, right? So we have to be mindful because the energy is surrounding you and everybody that is around you. So we want to be able to have conversations that we're not worried about it coming back.
I need
Right?
to ask you a question too. Numerically, 2024 is the year of the eight universally. Is there a card that dominates or represent 2024?
Yeah, and this is what cardology is so dope about, because this is an 8 of hearts year, right?
Really? The child.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. This is an
okay,
8 of hearts year, and
okay.
this is an 8 of hearts week. So if you're good, you can see what your life is going to look like this year, this week, right? Because the 8 of hearts is compounded, but it is going to show you the energy field that is working in. Now, the 8 of hearts is a power card.
Yes,
This
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a power card, but it's not. It's a very detached card because it's Neptune. This card sits in Jupiter, Neptune, so it's a very detached card. It's not someone that you're going to be able to pin down. And it's somebody that on the low side is not going to take responsibility and is going to be a bully, right? It's a Saturnian card. So it's going to be a very volatile person, and it's definitely going to bring a lot of violence this year, right? So we have to be mindful of, the Eight of Hearts, it's a heart. So it's very sensitive. But remember, hearts are divine masculine, right? Because they're red. Red is a life force, so it's divine masculine. So you're thinking that it's a heart, but it's a heart with a twist, right?
Would that explain why people would be, as they call it, into their feelings more so this year? Because people seem to be touchy about a little bit of everything up in here.
Yeah, they have a Queen of Hearts and Mars this year, and the Queen of Hearts is off with your head. So this is, it's a very seductive energy, but it's an energy that it takes time because it's Neptune. So it's in the 12th house times 2. So when it comes out of the 12th house, it comes out swinging. So the Eight of Hearts isn't, this is not a time that if somebody is a little tender, leave them alone, because the Eight of Hearts knows where to hide the body.
Yeah, because people are touchy.
And they got an Eight of Diamonds in Saturn too. They're trying to get to the bag. This is a card that is driven for success. This is what this year is about. The end game of Saturn this year is success, but it's Saturn. This is about building. So people that are not understanding why their money has slowed down, because Saturn is now looking at things differently. It's looking at things where you are building, moving towards something, with Pluto going into Aquarius. So the game is over. Whatever happened in 2023 is no longer there. You could just cut it and say, well, that's just some experience. We're in a whole new energy field. And this Eight of Hearts wants to explore it. It wants to see how much you want it. It has a King of Spades in Pluto and Uranus. This is the most powerful card in the deck in Uranus. So this is a very charismatic card, right? They know how to network. They know how to build. They know how to shapeshift. So if you're not confident, if you have people who say, I don't like people, stay home.
Just stay out the way.
Home. Just stay home, because this is a people card. This is known as the Playboy Playgirl card. This is a people card.
Interesting.
And it's not by no strange coincidence that this is your Pluto card.
Now that's interesting. I'm in Aquarius, and Pluto just went into Aquarius in
2024. That part.
And Venus has went into it. Mars is going into Aquarius. So there's a couple of things sitting in the sign of Aquarius right now.
Yeah. So this is a
long range.
Yeah, this is an 8th house year for you.
Okay. Can you interpret that?
Well, when you think about how you earn and how you do things, it's through your charisma. So Pluto is going to reward you. It's like giving. It's like the Nine of Diamonds is giving and altruistic. And the Eight of Hearts is just a very charismatic card. So in you being in the Eight of Hearts year, it means that your Pluto is being touched. So the things that you're doing, you're sharing, the shared resources. You should be expecting a big inheritance this year. You should be expecting a big payoff, right?
That's interesting. I'll be on the lookout for that. And if so, I owe you a call. Let there be no question. I owe you a big call, okay?
Yeah, because the synchronicities of the card is you're sitting in the sun. So the Eight of Hearts has the Eight of Diamonds as its Saturn card. So in actuality, you got a lot of different players with you, because that would say that your Saturn to your Pluto card. Now, Saturn-Pluto conjunctions are very powerful, right? Saturn goes down and Pluto is looking at things, the structures that no longer are serving and stuff like that. So with a Nine of Diamonds, and you look at you on these different platforms, and I can see it. I can see the planets at work.
You should have been an astrologer too.
I am.
I know. I know.
I just, Cardology just makes it so much easier. But astrology was my first love, you know.
Astrology was my
So,
first love. My first
mm-hmm,
love too. That's why I
mm-hmm.
call myself an astronumerologist, because I blend both worlds of astrology and numerology together. Maybe you should be an astrocardologer.
You know, I love, for me, people are opening up to it, but I'm not a Google astrologer. I don't, so people have, you know, I had like, we had to read, right? We read
Mhm.
books.
Yeah, yeah,
We
we had
sat,
to read.
we read books.
Yeah,
We sat in lectures with the greats and they taught us. It wasn't for you to say, oh, your combination, you're compatible with Venus. That didn't mean anything. You had to
mhm.
know what Venus was. There's no compatibility if you don't
And
know
then we
what it
came out
is.
of New York City, so you know how they roll in New York City. What does that
Yes.
mean? Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, for people to have, you know, because when I talk about the planets, people are looking at me like I never heard that before. Saying, yeah, because you didn't stay off of Google. Read a book. There are books out there that are ancient, and then there are books out there that are more written in our time. But for me, I want to learn. You know, I'm an 8. I need to learn, because when I am sitting and having a conversation, my reputation, 8's reputation is it. We don't play with
Yeah,
our
yeah.
reputation.
Amen on that one. Because I have in my collections of books some books that's over 100 years old. And the older the books, the better, because they had to learn the old-fashioned way. It
Simplistically,
wasn't
right?
Google it, you know what I'm saying? Instagram it. No, you had to learn the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, because you can't tell somebody on a in a that okay, you're not compatible with anybody, because that's not true. When you look at the cards, you're gonna see if you know, like I'm Venus, so my opposite is Mars, right? So I'm gonna see how I can use it. It's like, how can I use those two planets to bring it into balance, right? So it gives you a different understanding, rather than you just canceling people. I don't get along with this sign and that sign. No, you don't get along with yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
you got that planet in your 12th house somewhere, right? In one of your houses, you got some remnant of that planet. So if you're not outwardly connected to that planet, you're not inwardly connected. That's a conflict within yourself.
That's interesting. And you know, to give you an example from a page from the old school, in the early 1900s, there was an astrologer. She was born, her name was Evangeline Adams, born February the 8th. And what happened at that time, astrology was illegal in New York, and they took her to court. And what happens is, now this is the early 1900s, before,
Mhm.
you know, the
Mhm.
Googles and the internet, all that stuff. And what happens is, on the day she went to court, the judge gave her the birthday of an individual. In 15
Right.
minutes, she erected the chart of the
That's
person,
right.
told the judge that this was a person who was a young person but died by drowning. It happened to be the judge's son, and he says astrology. That's what
That's it.
legalized astrology in
That's
New York
it.
City.
That's it. And you have to be able to, because we had to use the ephemeris, right?
Yeah, yep. She have no computer.
Yeah, you had to
You know,
use it. How many people even know what ephemeris is?
true, true.
They don't even know what
You ain't
that
lying about
is.
that. But it was a given that we had to have an ephemeris.
Yeah, yeah, you had to have an ephemeris. So you and me, it's the nuts and the bolts, and where we are with, you know, of course, with Aquarius, you know, that's what we're going to be dealing with, the nuts and the bolts of things. So it's just important to align yourself with more consciousness. Is, I understand, getting readings and learning about yourself, that's what people want to do, but you got to be careful about that, because people are intuiting into you, and you
Mhm.
into it, you're changing energy with all of these people, and you're trying to piece it together, and it's making you bipolar, tripolar, quadpolar, because you can't find the anchor that you're looking, because you got too much information coming from so many different places.
It's almost information overload.
It is. It is, because I do consultations. I don't do readings. I do consultations, because readings are so superficial. It's like, if you're looking for direction, if you have something that you want to do, then this fine. But for me, just to sit, and the thing about relationships, and you're talking to people about relationships, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you don't know the relationship till it shows up. I don't care what somebody tells you. Until you in a relationship, there's no way to chart it. Right? You can't chart it. I can look at your cards and I can see, well, you have potential to be in a relationship, but the potential is based on how you play your hand.
In
right?
the relationship.
Yes. Right. Because you get in a relationship and you like, I don't even know. You karmically started a relationship and now you're like, well, I don't want to be in this relationship. That's where sixes come in. That's where the retrograde comes in, because you're going to play that karma out.
Yeah, that's why it's interesting, because you can have, like, for example, if a person went to a family court, the people that were once in love with each other are now with each other's throats.
Yeah, because they came here, they made this agreement. We all make these agreements, whether we like it or not. Me and Lloyd made this agreement that we were going to do this on Earth, right? So we get into the relationships and the person or you hasn't reached that pinnacle. So now you want to dissolve it. But the karma just means it's coming back around. You say that with Sally. So next time it's Diane. And you're like, well, daggone, because the karma has to be addressed.
Does that explain why some people, they'll go from one person to another person, but the person they jump to from there to there, always in some way they got a different name, but it's always the same in the end.
Always the same, because the karma has to be addressed. Now you can transcend the karma, but it take that's the initiation, and this is what we do. We help you through the initiation process. You help through with numerology and astrology. I help through with cardology, astrology, and numerology. There's an initiation process, and that process can't be done alone. Whenever you go to initiation, and people do it with Ifa, they do it with different things, and they don't understand that everything is going to have a guide. There are around the world, people understand that. Black people don't understand that. This is why you're stuck, because that process of going through that, first of all, you have to be with somebody who's learned it. You have to be with somebody who understands these things that is going through it to guide you through it. And that's for the serious minded. That's not for everybody. People don't want to invest in that process. They don't have the time for the process. So they don't live the life that they want to live.
Got to answer a question before we sign off, because we're almost at the hour. Is there a card in the deck that governs people of African descent?
Yeah, the 5 of diamonds is a card of black men. And the 8 of diamonds is the card of the 8 of clubs is the card of black women.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. You are an interesting woman, period. Okay. Now, before we go, please, we want to remind people, let me take the banner off a second. This is the workshop that she is having coming up. And I want everybody to now just remind everybody about the workshop again for tomorrow and how they can be involved. Neena, please.
You can go to my website, and right there on the website, you'll click on it and it'll bring up everything for you to make your payment and all of that kind of good stuff.
Did I put your website up there, or did
it's right there? It's on the flyer, and it's in there. Yeah.
Good.
And somebody asked, do I do personal readings? I totally do. You can DM me on Instagram, and if you don't have Instagram, you can email me at diamond@Levin University.
And with over 30 years in the metaphysical experience, I says that speaks for itself without question. So at any rate, let me put up your banner one more time so people have no excuse not to reach out to you. Let me do this a second. Where did we go? First of all, let me do this. Bam. Then I'm going to do this. Okay. There we go. So my wonderful, beautiful guest, a Libra 1 lady, Neena Diamond. She is a cardologer par excellence. I mean,
Can I say something, Lloyd? Can I say something?
Yes.
This young lady said, I'm a queen of diamonds that just turned 52. And Aquarius Maximus says this is a special year for me. How is that so? Did you do a reading with Aquarius Maximus? I'm curious.
Well, she's the way that sounds, it sounds like she did for her to
Yeah. So this is So that's my daughter. So whatever she said, ditto. Right.
you second that one, right?
Whatever she said is going to be special. It is. If she said it, I co-sign on anything that Aquarius Maximus said. Right. But if you
No,
want to book a
she's
reading,
brilliant. But then
yeah,
again, the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So I don't
yeah,
know
it
why we're
doesn't.
surprised. You
But
know?
if you want to book a reading, you could book a reading with me. But I agree with anything that she told you about it being a special year. I don't have your stuff in front of me, but I would say she knows what she's talking about.
And those, as you see on the banner, are her platforms. She's YouTube, Diamond 8, TikTok, Neena Diamond. Her Instagram is Diamond_8. Her Clubhouse is Monday through Sunday. And her Cash App is Saturn $. I should have said $. Is that correct, dear?
You know that. They know Cash App. If they got a Cash App, that $, it's just like we used to use zero as a placeholder. Zero was a placeholder. It wasn't a number, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
it was
that's
a
right.
placeholder. It was
That
0,
was
0,
it.
1, did.
Yeah.
So Cash App is implied that there's a dollar
Dollar
before
sign.
it.
Okay, yeah. $ Saturn 7. Now, was there a reason why you chose 796, which adds up to
It sure
22?
was. It sure was. You know the numbers, right?
Yeah,
What
it
do you
adds up to
think? What do you
22.
think I chose it for?
Well, first of all, 22 is a master number, and it's kind of, and it adds to a 4, and that's always revolutionary, visionary. You know what I'm saying? And it governs the sign of Aquarius, in a minor way, Leo, and in a minor way, Gemini, and anybody with vision as a rule. And since it adds up to, and then it's noticed that it's got 2 odd numbers, which are both, and the 7s and the 9 are the only numbers found on the spiritual plane. And then it's got the 6, which is the number of grounding. The, by day, by night, it's a balance. It's beauty and balance and love. And under
Oh,
the
he
sign of
sounds so
Libra.
sexy, don't he? Ain't that sexy? See, this is what y'all gotta learn. This is when you talking to Jazz and Lloyd. You're gonna learn how to use this. My name is Neena with 2 E's because I took a class with Jazz. And my name was not making it. And since I changed my name, the dazzle is there, right? Those 5s. I inherited those 5. So that's what you're gonna learn through Lloyd and through Jazz with the numbers. See, I have them. I am I know numerology because Lloyd Strayhorn introduced me to it decades ago, right? But being able to have him, I don't have to know all of that anymore. He just spit it out, right?
Yeah, just call me.
Just spit it out, right? So yeah, y'all just, I'm telling you, tune in, check in, and especially with Lloyd Strayhorn, he's an Aquarian. And Pluto was in Aquarius. I want y'all to watch this brother this year. If you aren't believers, watch him. I want you to watch him because you're going to see the magic, right? You're going to see the magic of the 9 of diamonds in the sun, right? I'm just saying that nothing happens outside of the energy field that isn't supposed to happen. But when you get in that energy field and I remember talking to Lloyd, I think last year, 2 years ago, and I told him this year was going to be his best year ever. He said, I can't wait, right?
Yeah.
So watching him on TikTok, I'm like, Lloyd is
and since I came on TikTok, things have, you can't swear by my children. I'm not a star.
Yes.
As far as it's concerned.
You are the only numerologist out there. There's nobody that can touch you. Nobody.
I was told that.
You are the one that, and it comes with the expertise. When you used to be on the radio back in the day, spitting that silent science, right? That's how I learned. I learned from you being on the radio, right? But you had that intention. So the intention has brought you to where you are now. Isn't that dope? It's like we think of our younger life where we might have struggled, but now we're looking at the gravy. Isn't that dope?
And I struggle. And I even asked myself, Lloyd, did you pick the right thing? Maybe you should go back to the 9 to 5 and all the drama that goes with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm glad, and it is. There's a podcast I heard that says there are 3 universal elements: it's seeds, time, and harvest. And that's what we did. We planted the seed. It took us time, and now we're reaping the harvest.
And that's all we want y'all to know. We just
Mhm.
want you to understand the sequence, because it can be a block of time. But if you sit with Lloyd, you sit with Jazz, you sit with me, and you know that, then you know how to navigate through it. Because you can't bend it. You can't make it do what it do. You can be frustrated. But if you know that you're in this specific time, this specific pinnacle, these things in life, it makes sense. And then you can lean back and be like, okay, I'm calm because I know that everything is working for my greater good.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a good feeling too.
It's a great feeling.
It's a very, very good feeling, and everyone should share in that experience. I love you very much, Neena.
Love
Dime.
you
You are the
too.
best. You are absolutely the best. Maybe we'll have you back on in about a month and a half to see how the class goes, and maybe because of the response from this class, that more people, if they miss it, would like to join. If you should have another class coming up in the not too distant
Absolutely. Absolutely.
future.
I'll come on anytime for you. You know that.
And listen, and we didn't do no reading. So pardon us, group. I see the 113 comments. I'll get to that because on Wednesday, I am going to talk about what's the difference between a September Libra and an October Libra. What's the difference between a March Aries and an April Aries, or a April Taurus and a May Taurus? There are differences.
It
And
is. And in the cards, there are big differences, right?
really? Yes,
Oh
and in
yeah.
the numbers too. So that's what I'll be talking about Wednesday. So I'll be able to take everybody's birthday. If you're on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. So when I tell a person their months, I say you must allow for late so and so in the so and so, late so and so in the so and so, when it's beginning to cusp and roll into the sign of the month that
Yeah.
it represents traditionally. So it's going to be interesting.
Because we have a calendar, right? So when we look at the calendar, just like this month, if we look at the calendar and it started, the Aquarius started in the spades and it ends out. So you have the spades, then you have the diamonds that are Aquarians, and then now you're going into the second half of this month that is Pisces, the last of the month that is Pisces, that is it, that the end of the diamonds and going into the clubs. So I'm telling you, it's fascinating.
Interesting.
We'll
Yes.
talk
Yes,
about
yes,
that
yes.
next time. It's
Please, please,
fascinating.
please. So
And then
we'll be
Aries,
talking about it.
remember, Aries has a card.
Really?
Yeah,
And
every
what card is that?
Aquarius has a card. Everything has a card.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get Aquarius out the way. What card do we have?
Out the top of my head, let me put it in real
And
quick.
then also, since we're in the Pisces, I know Pisces is gonna say, well, what about me?
What
And you know
about
what we
me,
might
right?
do? I think we're gonna save all of this to whet their appetite so they tune in next time.
Well, I'm gonna give you Aquarius because it's you.
Okay.
Aquarius is ruled by the three of diamonds.
It's in the diamond family.
Yes, and that's Mercury, Uranus.
And I noticed most of the people that I've dealt with or were very significant in my life were either diamonds or clubs.
Yeah.
Children and adults, or teenagers and adults. That's
Yeah, because hearts get on your nerves, so you ain't gonna deal with them too much. Hearts can't withstand the pressure of diamonds, so they don't tend to gravitate. Hearts and clubs go together very well because you have the babies and the teenagers. They have fun together. So if you're dating a heart, you have to know that it can work if you're a diamond and you're dating a heart and you understand their sensitivities. But if you don't know the cards, you don't understand that.
You know, I can keep you on another half hour because you done conjured up in my mind a whole lot more questions about which one we do with this one, that one.
Yeah.
And when you work those variations. So I got a lot to say for the next time. So we'll have you back on. And yes, we may open up the phones, but right now it wasn't about the readings as so much as sharing the knowledge and to get everybody, please. This is about doing it. To please sign up for this course. It begins tomorrow. It's a 4-week course. It's 2 hours from 7 to 9. Please go to www.11university.com and sign up for the course, please. Okay.
And it's 11. It's 11 without the E, because you know
11.
Venus got to do something. We can't help ourselves.
And you're number one too. That means you got to put an original spin on it.
Yes, we can't help ourselves. So there's no E there. So it's 11, but it's with the
11,
L, right?
11.
And that changed the name. So
and it changes the frequency. Definitely changes the energy. You know what a difference a letter will make, right?
Yeah. And that's what y'all will learn with Lloyd Strayhorn and Jazz Aphrodite.
And Neena Diamond.
And Neena
Okay. And
Diamond.
keep out the best. Okay. Thank you, hon. Love you much.
Thank you.
And
Love
you have a
you.
blessed day too.
Okay.
I want to let everybody know, please, again, please be on the alert for somebody that is trying to imitate and say, and especially when they're asking for money, that right there should be the tip off, at least with my viewers. If we're asking you for money, there's a problem. It's not me. I don't do that. And so that's one. And this is another one. And what they will do is do a slight spelling. They'll say numbers in you, but you got to read. This one is uh, um, with a 1 in front of it, with the @ sign. If you look at this one, this had the underscore on the back end of it. And so what they're saying is they're hoping that when you say Lloyd Strayhorn, okay, that must be legitimate. And then especially this one here, this is taken from a page from TikTok. They will try any kind of way, but thanks to one of my clients, Crystal, she says, I know this guy and you don't sound like him. Okay. So I want to thank her very, very much for that. Wednesday, I'm going to be figuring out which part of the zodiac sign are you in. Are you in this month going into that month, or that month about to leave and going into another month? There is a difference. For example, there are two examples. One is Minister Malcolm X and his wife, Dr. Betty Shabazz. He was born under the sign of Taurus in May, but she was born in the sign of Gemini in May. Then if you look at Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, she was born in the sign of Virgo in September, but he was born in the sign of Libra in the month of September. So there is a big, big difference. We're going to explain all that on Wednesday when I come on the show. Everybody, I want you to all have a nice day. Take good care. As they say, February is almost a wrap. Bye.